The story behind the Ravi Zacharias allegations, Part 2, cursory investigations and more accusations. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and comment below about your thoughts on it. For more videos and tips, subscribe to our channel. The legacy of Ravi Zacharias, one of the most highly respected Christian leaders of our time, is threatened by an unfolding scandal. Zacharias, who founded Ravi Zacharias International Ministries (RZIM) in 1984, has again been accused of sexual misconduct. This time his accusers are several women other than his initial accuser from 2016. Their testimonies, along with that of the initial accuser, paint a picture of Zacharias' alleged predatory pattern. Over the years, Zacharias and the other apologists on his team ministered to hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. When Zacharias passed away in May, the tributes from well-known ministry leaders poured in. Unfortunately, so have the accusations. If people are blessed by his ministry, that's fine. We certainly weren't blessed by it. We almost lost our lives, Lori Ann Thompson told investigators. Thompson accused Zacharias of luring her into a sexual relationship in 2016. For more on that, check out part 1 of our series. In 2017, when RZIM learned of the allegations Thompson made against their founder and leader, they chose not to look into the allegations themselves, deferring instead to the denomination through which Zacharias was ordained, the Christian and Missionary Alliance (CNMA). In late 2017 through early 2018, CNMA conducted an inquiry into the allegations. The Christian and Missionary Alliance inquiry. Investigators reached out to CNMA to inquire about the nature of that inquiry. Peter Burgo, the Director of Media Relations for CNMA, told us they performed an internal inquiry into the matter. Burgo emphasized that the inquiry could not be considered an independent investigation. The CNMA initiated an internal inquiry, not an independent investigation, when it learned of the original allegations in 2017. The inquiry was conducted by a team of people including senior CNMA officers who are deeply familiar with our uniform policy on discipline, restoration and appeal, Burgo explained. When asked who was contacted during this inquiry, Burgo said Lori Ann Thompson, Ravi Zacharias, and leaders at RZIM. He also mentioned he believes there were others but that their names were not disclosed as this was a confidential inquiry. Thompson told us she was made aware of the inquiry via a CNMA pastor on Twitter. Thompson said she reached out to CNMA and eventually spoke with Gary Friesen, Vice President, General Counsel, and another male CNMA leader early in 2018. Thompson believes it was John Stumbo, President, who was on the phone call, but CNMA has declined to disclose who the other person was. Unfortunately, the conversation occurred long after Zacharias, sued and silenced me, Thompson explained, referring to the non-disclosure agreement she signed in 2017. When investigators asked Burgo why CNMA didn't initiate contact with Thompson, Burgo said that Thompson may have reached out to the CNMA before they had officially begun their inquiry. At the conclusion of its inquiry, in March 2018, CNMA released this statement. The CNMA recently completed a thorough inquiry of these accusations, including interviews with those involved and a review of all available documentation and records. While it is not appropriate to publicly discuss the nuances of these allegations, the available evidence does not provide a basis for formal discipline under the CNMA policy. Prior to this year, the only statement RZIM released about Thompson's allegations was written by Zacharias and was the same one he gave to investigators, which was published on December 3, 2017. The statement gives Zacharias' version of the story, and as we noted in part 1 of this video, both Thompson and Boz Shavitian, her current legal counsel, believe Zacharias broke their non-disclosure agreement by publishing this statement. The discrepancies between Thompson's account of the situation and RZIM's account don't end there. In a statement given to investigators by RZIM and published to their site on September 25, 2020, concerning the 2017 lawsuit Zacharias filed, the ministry writes, the Thompsons, through their attorneys, then requested to enter into mediation to resolve the matter without going to trial. According to the Thompsons, this statement is not accurate. We did not request mediation, rather both parties agreed to mediation to avoid a lengthy and costly public legal battle, the Thompsons write in a statement published on the Roy's Report on October 13, 2020. They also say, Mr. Zacharias' legal counsel informed our legal counsel that we faced long, protracted litigation and that Mr. Zacharias had a donor who would cover any and all legal costs that Mr. Zacharias incurred. The September 25 RZIM statement also portrays the 2018 CNMA inquiry into the matter as being independently and rigorously investigated. We reached out to RZIM asking for clarification on this point since their description of the inquiry and CNMA's are so different. Ruth Malhorta with RZIM told us the following, when RZIM's board of directors stated on September 25, 2020, that this matter was independently and rigorously investigated in 2018, at the initiative of CNMA, they meant that the CNMA's actions were independent of RZIM. Can Zacharias' word be trusted? If Zacharias did indeed lie about his interactions with the Thompsons, is it possible that he lied about other things? In his 2017 statement, Zacharias wrote the following. In my 45 years of marriage to Margie, I have never engaged in any inappropriate behavior of any kind. I love my wife with all my heart and have been absolutely faithful to her these more than 16,000 days of marriage, and have exercised extreme caution in my daily life and travels, as everyone who knows me is aware. I have long made it my practice not to be alone with a woman other than Margie and our daughters, not in a car, a restaurant, or anywhere else. However, this account does not line up with the word of at least 3 former employees who worked at 2 spas that Zacharias co-owned in the Atlanta area. Investigators spoke to one of those former employees who wished to remain anonymous. She told us she was regularly alone with Zacharias, even at his house a couple of times, to give the Apologist massages. And, according to her account and the account of 2 other former employees who spoke to investigators as well as Steve Bauman, Zacharias made sexual advances and exposed himself on multiple occasions. The spa workers accounts the spa worker we spoke to knew Zacharias for several years prior to working in the spa he co-owned. As is well known, Zacharias suffered from a back injury that caused him pain, and from which he sought relief through massage. He was also profoundly lonely, according to our contact. She described him as someone who needed friends and needed lightness and happiness in his life. As Zacharias came to her for massages, the 2 bonded over discussions of faith and their personal lives. Eventually, though, she says Zacharias started doing inappropriate things, like putting an arm around her waist, touching her legs, and exposing himself. Things got worse from there, she says, to the point where he asked her to have sex with him. She refused. While this was happening, our contact said Zacharias also professed his love for her and told her that if he could leave his wife and his ministry behind, he would. She says she felt compassion for him because of how unhappy he was. She describes spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours, speaking to Ravi. We had a friendship. I think that was real. Zacharias' business partner, Anurag Sharma, has not yet gone on record stating his experience with Zacharias. However, text messages church leaders obtained between our contact and Sharma show that he also had knowledge Zacharias was making sexual advances towards spa employees. After he misbehaved with 2 therapists, I wanted to close it, Sharma wrote. He also said he loved Ravi to a point where I won't say anything or ask anything, that was wrong on my part. Both Sharma and our contact believe Zacharias misbehaved with more than the 3 former spa employees who have come forward to date. Potential evidence of predatory behavior. There are a few striking similarities between some of the spa workers' accounts and Thompson's account. Our spa worker contact told us she had a history of sexual abuse, as did Thompson. The 2 believe Zacharias used this fact and their resulting trauma to his advantage. The spa worker said, he knew how to prey on weaknesses. He was brilliant and clever, giving gifts, attentions, and praises, making sure you thought of him as slightly above human, of a holy nature. Terrific power for confused or previously abused women. Indeed, Thompson believes Zacharias was able to lure her into a sexual relationship because she saw him as a father figure she was longing for and trusted him implicitly. A letter Thompson wrote in 2016 and published on the Roy's Report describes how Zacharias' attention affected her. One of the things that Ravi did for me was that he helped to shape my floundering identity. I met him when I was just finishing a post-secondary degree as a mature student and starting back into the workforce after rearing small children. These are vulnerable times in a woman's life, and I was vulnerable, to begin with, from unprocessed childhood sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. I know now that I had not formed my identity in a God-given way through healthy validation from my parents and normal developmental processes. As such, someone like me with early and protracted abuse and neglect has no identity of their own, looking to others to define who she is. Secondly, Thompson and the spa employee both mentioned that Zacharias told them he was lonely and dissatisfied in both his marriage and his ministry. In an account she wrote of her contact with Zacharias, Thompson says, "He shared that ministry has had a cost much higher than he ever expected, that he has sacrificed extensively, and how marriage was more of a business partnership. He shared that after he poured out his heart speaking, and went back to his hotel room, he was profoundly alone. If you like our videos, help us reach 10,000 subs and hit the subscribe button now. That my emails were a connection and kindness that he enjoyed immensely, and I was a faithful companion along the way." Another similarity between the accounts lies in how Zacharias allegedly responded when confronted with his behavior. The spa worker we spoke to confronted Zacharias after she learned that other women were complaining about his advances. She appealed to him to confess and seek help from his brothers at RZIM. She says Zacharias responded aggressively, apparently shouting, "How can you do this to me?" Later, he cut off all contact with her. Another person connected to the spas has a similar account of Zacharias' alleged reaction to being confronted. Speaking to World Magazine, former spa manager Anna Adesanya says she confronted Zacharias about his behavior in 2009 with the help of Sharma. Sharma confirmed this in the text message thread with our spa worker contact. Adesanya and Sharma spoke to Zacharias at his RZIM office and brought to his attention a complaint one of the spa workers voiced, specifically that Zacharias had asked for more than a massage. According to Adesanya, when confronted, Zacharias said, "Who is this girl? What is she trying to do to me?" In a similar way, when Thompson told Zacharias she planned on telling her husband about their private contact, he threatened suicide. This threat was captured in an email thread, the validity of which Zacharias did not refute in his 2017 lawsuit against the Thompsons. For more on those details, watch Part 1. In the lawsuit, Zacharias accused the couple of exploiting him and tarnishing his reputation. The lawsuit gives some context as to why Zacharias reacted so vehemently against the accusations. Plaintiff's success, as well as RZIM's success, is due to plaintiff's reputation as an astute and articulate defender of Christianity, and as a person of great spiritual and intellectual integrity. It is Zacharias' reputation and now the legacy that RZIM hopes to clear from suspicion. In a statement published September 15, 2020, acknowledging the spa workers' allegations, the organization says the accounts don't comport with the man we knew for decades. We believe them to be false. Despite this belief, however, the ministry has commissioned an investigation. We have commenced an independent external investigation to look into this matter to the fullest extent we are able. We do not intend to comment further about this matter until the investigation's findings are presented to the Executive Committee of the Board of Ravi Zacharias International Ministries. We at RZIM remain committed to truth. It is the foundation of what we do, and that has not changed. In an update published October 7, 2020, RZIM says they have commissioned the law firm, Miller & Martin, to conduct the investigation. The statement describes Miller & Martin as having expertise in this area. Investigators reached out to Miller & Martin inquiring about their expertise, specifically whether they have expertise in cases involving clergy abuse and sexual harassment. They declined to comment on that point. They did, however, confirm that RZIM has hired them. While it is unclear whether Miller & Martin has experience investigating the delicate issue of sexual harassment involving a clergy member, their website lists crisis management as one of the firm's areas of expertise, alongside others such as real estate law and white-collar criminal defense. Miller and Martin's crisis management team aggressively pursues avoidance, management, and recovery from unexpected business interruptions, the firm writes. Sexual abuse survivor and victim advocate Rachel Den Hollander say that when allegations of sexual misconduct come to light, she advises institutions like churches and ministries not to hire defense lawyers to conduct an investigation. For their part, RZIM says they are committed to submitting fully to this investigation and to publicly releasing its findings. CNMA is also commissioning an investigation, although they have not disclosed who they have hired to conduct it. Their investigation might look back into Thompson's allegations as well. An October 2, 2020, statement acknowledges the fact that the new allegations being brought up raise concern among some media entities and other parties over the decision of the Christian and Missionary Alliance (CNMA) in 2018 not to discipline Mr. Zacharias. The statement goes on to say the CNMA contracted an independent investigative firm to explore the recent allegations of Mr. Zacharias' sexual misconduct and will determine an appropriate course of action based on the investigation's findings. Victims of alleged abuse find courage. Thompson says she was unaware of the spa workers when she wrote her account of what happened between herself and Zacharias in 2016. Had she known there were others, she told us she would have been so much braver. Indeed, our spa worker contact intimated as much to us when she said the reason she is talking now is not that she wants anything as far as compensation, but that she wants to help others who have been hurt. She believes there are many more women who Zacharias preyed upon. There have probably been hundreds and it has gone on for decades, she told us. The spa worker would like RZIM to set up a task force to help victims, a place victims can go and express their concerns without any negative impact, for as long as the ministry exists. Thompson's sister, Tamara Battisti, was the first person to whom Thompson disclosed the abuse. Battisti also believes RZIM has some work to do. This has been happening since the world began, corruption in leadership and sexual sin, etc. The issue is his ministry knew about this and nobody investigated it. Thompson believes RZIM has it in their power to set the record straight. Specifically, she and her husband, Brad, are asking RZIM to look back at Zacharias' electronic communications. In Zacharias' 2017 lawsuit, he claimed that the Thompsons tried repeatedly to get him to meet with Lori Ann alone. He cited one incident in particular when Lori Ann attended a conference on grief at RZIM's headquarters in Atlanta. The Thompsons say Lori Ann went to this conference at Zacharias' urging. At least one other electronic communication could prove that Zacharias was the one to request he and Lori Ann meet in person, thus contradicting what he wrote in the lawsuit. The Thompsons explained, through electronic communications, Mr. Zacharias did invite Lori Ann and one of our older children on a mission trip to India, with the expressed intent of hands-on engagement with Lori Ann. Do we want to know the truth? As we await the conclusions of the investigations RZIM and CNMA have commissioned, one thing has become increasingly clear: how a ministry handles allegations of sexual misconduct involving their leaders is just as much a reflection of that ministry's commitment to truth as what they declare about the gospel. If it is accurate that CNMA's inquiry in 2018 was cursory, as Thompson describes it, that would certainly only add to the trauma she has experienced. Anyone who has experienced sexual harassment or abuse faces an incredible hurdle when they disclose. Many subject matter experts argue that sexual abuse involving a clergy member is even trickier to overcome. How the church responds right now is a matter of the utmost importance. Specifically, we want to challenge you with this: Christianity is a religion built on the testimony of eyewitnesses. They are people who were allowed to voice their experiences. Throughout the millennia since people started calling themselves followers of Jesus, we have weathered the storms of scandal, slander, and doubt. Ours is not a religion of suppression but of transparency. Let's have the integrity and the courage to listen to the voices of these eyewitnesses who say they have been misused. Finally, we leave you with these questions: do we want to know the truth, even if it tarnishes the legacy of one of our heroes? Are we committed to doing what is necessary to uncover that truth? Do we take seriously what our Lord said in John chapter 8 verse 32, "Then you will know the truth and the truth will set you free"? This is Luke for Christianity Today. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.